Hi, it's Ileana at Awakening Cosmic Reality Show, and today we have with us John White, who is the founder and creator of Spooky2, which is Rife Therapy technology that is designed to help with healing, modalities, and frequencies. Welcome, John.
Hello, Alina. Thank you for inviting me to your show.
Thank you for coming. It's a pleasure to meet you. I have known about Rife Therapy for a long time and been interested in the Spooky2, so it's wonderful to have you here to tell us what this interesting device is, what it does, how it works. So we have a set of questions that I'm going to ask you, if you're okay with that.
Sure.
So what is the Spooky2 and how does it work for healing individuals?
Well, I'll give you the long answer. First of all, we'll rewind the clock a little bit. Everything is vibration and energy, as I guess a lot of your viewers would know. When you get sick, your vibration changes. And what Spooky2 does is make your vibration back to how it should be. Vibration can also destroy things, and the things you want to destroy are those bugs, those freeloaders that are in your body, making your life miserable. So Spooky has the ability to shake those bugs and destroy components within their cells so they can't multiply, can't replicate in your body and become an army of force. So what Spooky2 does is, Spooky2 is a company, okay? We call it Spooky2 because it's spooky, action at a distance, a term coined by Einstein when he couldn't explain how doing a change in one place could have an effect on the other place, even though there's no wires and nothing connecting the two. So the whole world is just one huge ball of energy and interconnected lines of force. And what Spooky2, one of the very original accessories that we made for our healing devices, was a device that allowed you to broadcast, if you like, healing frequencies to your body. It doesn't matter whether you're in, well, where are you, Ileana? Where are you based?
I'm in British Columbia, Canada.
Okay,
it's pronounced Ileana.
Oh, sorry, Ileana. I'm so sorry, and thank you for correcting me. It would have been terrible if you corrected me at the end of the at the end of the conversation. I could treat you from China, where I am, all the way up to British Columbia. If I had a sample of your DNA, if I had your fingernail, for example, that fingernail came from you. There's always a connection to you. So I can apply healing energy to the nails and you'd feel the effects. And Ileana, I hope I said that right. It's a very real thing. I have a very technical background, so generally I don't lean towards things that can't be explained by regular science. Of course, since the formal studies, I've learned a whole lot more. It's funny how you learn more once you leave school, isn't it? But after my university studies, gosh, I realized, well, they only told about half the story, and that's being generous. So we could treat people long distance without them having to be in the same room. So we call that spooky, for spooky action at a distance. And from then we developed other types of modalities for treating. I guess most people will be familiar with, well, when they think about Rife machines, they normally think about contact type devices where they hold on to hand cylinders or have TANs pads, for example, and they attach that to a Rife generator and apply frequencies to your body. We do those as well, and we do them very well. In fact, our equipment is truly leading edge. There's no one that comes close to us really in what they can do with the specifications. But another reason why we sort of started down the path of Rife Therapy, Rife healing machines, is that at that time, people's focus the manufacturer's focus, I should say, was on profits. Now, we're all used to going to a doctor and paying $80, $60. I guess in British Columbia, it's not so expensive going to doctors, but in most Western countries, and most countries, even non-Western, very expensive to go to a doctor or a hospital. It's really a business model. So the very, very first concept for us was to provide the tools so people could become their own doctor. So that was our mindset. So every device that we created were little things that people could add to their toolbox, put into their medicine cabinet or in the healing cupboard, and use the devices when they get sick, or maybe they just want to raise their overall wellness. We have some athletes that want to perform their best, and so devices are very good for that as well. So we cover we've got remote, which is what the first device I mentioned, which was the Spooky Action Antidepressants, contact mode, plasma, ultrasonic. We also use photons, we use cold laser, and pulse EMF as well. So we do a whole broad spectrum of treatment devices, all designed purely for healing. But what really makes us different, Ileana, from other suppliers is we make them affordable, because another one of our very, very first goals was to prevent unnecessary suffering and pain for all people, which means people with deep pockets, people with shallow pockets. We make it so people could afford them and people could use them. Now, today, more than ever, we need devices like this. We've got a pandemic. Now, I recommend people have an emergency cupboard, and in the cupboard they have the essentials like zinc, D3, and some other words I probably shouldn't say, but just things which, when things start turning into custard, you think, gosh, I'm getting sick, it might be the big coronavirus. Then you can pull that drawer open and it's there. Your mind might be in panic mode. You arrange the drawer whilst, before you're in panic mode, so it's all ready for you. Mm-hmm. And in that drawer, you can have spooky devices. And you can have it even pre-programmed. We've even got a Rife generator. You can program it so it can run offline without needing a computer. You just plug it in and select the program and run. And you can pre-program a coronavirus, a COVID-19 program into the generator and run it. So you've got all these tools in your toolkit ready for when you need it. Also, these devices, once you have it, you can use it also on family, friends, non-friends. We have quite a few people that turn their homes into clinics. In particular, some people that have been sick themselves, they've been told by the medical establishment, there's no way you're going to be 100%. Just keep on popping these down twice a day or 3 times a day, and you'll live. Your quality of life might not be very good, but you'll live and will extend your life. But we can both extend life and also bring it back to how bring back the quality of life as well. There's no good living a long life if you're in pain or having to take medication to control an illness. Mm-hmm. It's much better to remove the illness. So our devices, everything that we do is towards that goal.
And how do the frequencies, the amounts of frequencies that you have evolved? You guys started with 38,000 and got now to 60,000. From my understanding, I've been having a look at the website. So you guys are constantly upgrading the frequencies. So how did the frequencies work?
It's very interesting. Now, again, we'll go back a step and explain what frequencies are all about and why they're so important. Mm-hmm. The analogy I usually use is a child on a swing. If you push at the right frequency, the child goes higher and higher and they start squealing with joy. But if you push at the wrong rate, if the child's coming back and you push then, the child will actually stop swinging. It doesn't take a lot of force, does it, when you push a child to get the child swinging way up in the air? even quite large child, that is because that your pushing is in resonance with the child's natural swinging rate. It's the same with anything. You can have a wooden wall and push it at the right rate, and after maybe 10, 20 seconds, that wall will be swinging wildly. And but through extension, if you keep on pushing it, there's a good chance that the wall may become a non-wall. And you've got to run and find another wall. So, no, I don't recommend any of your viewers do this, but it is a fact that if you apply frequencies at precisely the correct rate, the resonant rate, then each time you push, it adds to the collective force. Same applies on a microscopic level. You can get a single cellular microbe and apply the same sort of push as you would with a child on a swing. Of course, you do it much faster because it's a much smaller thing. And after a period of time, the cell has absorbed more energy than it can handle, and it ruptures the cell membrane. It also does damage within the internal components of the cell. Okay, back to how do we derive our frequencies? When Spooky first started off, it was about 4,000 frequencies at the very beginning, around that value. Those frequencies weren't from us, they're from other researchers. We always credited other researchers when it wasn't from us. We garnished from multiple sources frequencies which historically provided benefits to the patients of clinics that were using the frequencies. From then, we created a device called a sample digitizer. This device, you can put a sample of any biological product, even non-biological, between two plates and run a special frequency sweep on this unit. And the Rife generator would detect all the resonant spikes within that sample. And so we increased the number of entries in our program using that means. We used quite complex maths to calculate the resonant frequencies of DNA. DNA is in almost all living organisms. There's different flavors of DNA. There's RNA, mRNA. That's most of the constituents within living cells. And we used those calculations to find the precise resonant frequencies. There are several other places where you can buy DNA frequencies. Generally, it's at the bargain basement price of $15 per program. I don't know, Ileana, whether you're aware of that. Now, our frequencies, we don't charge for them, of course, because we're Spooky2 and this is what we do. We have now something in the order of 61,000 total frequencies. Every living organism you can think of is in our database, all for free. The frequencies weren't derived 21, 22 years ago. They're derived 1 or 2 days ago. So every single new strain that comes out, even with the coronavirus, there's going to be, for an example, a release today of the database. We release it generally once every week or so, of the strains of the coronavirus which are currently in the world. Who wants to run frequencies which are no longer valid? They're redundant. Mm-hmm. So they're gone, and the new ones are in. And now there's only really one strain that's truly dominant through the world, and a few other smaller strains. Well, we cast the net out once a week, get all the strains which are currently around, get the precise exact frequencies, and then add them to the database ready for downloading from our website. Mm-hmm. So we are very proactive there's no point in using, if you use the wrong frequency, Ileana, it's not going to work. If it's 1 or 2 hertz out, it might work, but it's not going to work anywhere as well as precise. If you go hunting, I don't because I'm a vegetarian, but if one was to hunt, just hypothetically, if you use a shotgun, you get a broad spectrum. You don't have to aim exact, but the killing force isn't exact. But if you use a sniper rifle that goes straight as an arrow to the target, gosh, it's a terrible analogy, isn't it? Because we're creating devices to heal and cure, and then I'm talking, this analogy is for killing, but that's the one that comes to mind anyway. But a single precise shot is what's required to hit these bugs that are inside your body. So our programs do that. We've also got programs within our database for molecular weights. Again, these most of them are calculated. Some of them are derived using our sample digitizer, which is that device I was explaining before. The calculated ones use, that's very complex, that calculation, but it uses the things like free electron energy levels to calculate the matching states for its binding points. But for most biological substances, including drugs, we can emulate them. So if you, Ileana, in the unfortunate position to be part of the medical business model and pay $200 a month to get these little round sugar tablets, which have got a little bit of a drug in it, to keep you happy and healthy, we can emulate that same drug using our database. So we can do all that. It's there's very little that Spooky2 can't do, and if there is anything, we'd be doing it shortly, because we really do have our focus on our customers. You know, Ileana, when people buy products from us, they don't know it at the time, but they are donating. They're donating to various charities for humanity, charity for nature, for the environment. We have all this. We support the building of hospitals, of orphanages, and the people that are within them as well. We support. That is us. So it's not just machines, this discussion today. It's also about the people. Mm-hmm. You know, there's. I feel uncomfortable when I buy something from a company when I know that the company's, they've got zero interest in me, they've got zero interest in their product after it's been sold. It's pure steel cold business. That's it. Now, maybe we're not very good business people, but we are the other way around. It is important to make a profit because then you can reinvest into development of new super cool devices. You can take a portion of that and contribute that to humanity. You can make more people aware of the devices. But the difference between a profit and obscene profit is the difference between, it's just a huge difference. There's just no comparison. And until we came on the scene, businesses were doing the obscene profits. There's stories I could tell you, but I can't because I'm not really allowed to. I can't think actually, Ileana, of a Rife manufacturer that doesn't add something like 500, 1,000% profit on their products. And their products are of poor quality. And if they work, it's through chance rather than through good design. It's really disheartening. Since we've come on the scene, some people have really tried their best to stop our business. We've created a lot of non-friends, if you like, people that really wish that we were gone, but we're not going because it's not about us, it's about the people that we're helping. And there's no way on earth we're going to stop helping. people. Spooky started through personal loss, my personal loss in my family, and my feeling of being helpless. So at that time, okay, I was quite young. I was still a teenager. I still had learning to do. So I went on that learning curve, going through all the formalities, getting my engineering degree and everything. But still, there was that that part of me that really wanted to help other people, so they didn't have to go through what I and the rest of my family went through. One, you know, my grandfather, when he went to hospital, he was a very young, 84, I think. Very young though, like really young. And he was in the hospital, he was laughing and joking. The doctors came in, checked his cognitive abilities by asking him a series of questions. And even I was scratching my head, you know, and he just, you know, he was really, really, really strong and healthy and fit. And he died that night. I didn't have the chance to say goodbye to him. I didn't think he was going to leave us. Sometimes people do just go over the edge so quickly. Now, he went to hospital through, he had taken some prescription drugs. That is what killed him. These prescription drugs were drugs which made him bleed in the stomach. So,
Wow, I'm
yeah.
so sorry.
Well, I mean, this
tough.
was a long time ago, and I'm not saying it for any sort of sympathy, but I'm just letting people know that our company, I started the company, my vision has never changed. I want other people to live to their hundreds. There's no reason why not, and beyond, and up to up to the very end. Be healthy. Sickness and suffering is a disease. It's not through design of the human body. We're not designed to suffer at the end. There's a lot of people that live happy, healthy lives. Then they just die in their sleep. Well, isn't that fantastic? And so, you know, and when they die, they've got their great grandchildren. They've really truly lived their lives, and you know, this is what I want from for other people. It's nothing to do with profit. It's nothing to do with cutting corners so that we can deliver the same kind of device. You know, sorry to meander like this, but you know how it is. We've got a really amazing generator, a Generator X. That generator is way better than any other Rife generator out there. It can go all the way up to 40 megahertz. That is 40 million hertz. It can go up there with up to 2 decimal places. It can do biofeedback, and it's got 2 generators built into one. So it's really an amazing generator, and it can run offline. You can just select programs, and you can load the programs if you connect it onto your computer. Really beautiful generator. Well, because of this pandemic, a lot of the components that were used in this generator were becoming impossible to source. Truly impossible, not just difficult. No longer available. So we had to find alternatives. Now, we could have found alternatives that were slightly lesser ability. In fact, we did start about 5 minutes down that path. And then we thought, and then the meeting just came to a, hang on, guys, hang on. Who are we? We're Spooky2. What do? We provide the best possible devices for healing. And what are we talking about now? We're talking about making a compromise. No, let's go up. And that's what we did. Now, Generator X, because it's so capable, it's got 3 computers inside it. the new version, which has now been released just very recently, has got 4 computers in it. It does 8 decimal places up to 40 megahertz. And it's blazingly fast. Every one of those 4 computers inside it are faster than the 3 that were replaced before. So it's a truly remarkable generator. It did cost more for us. This is why most manufacturers would tend to downgrade rather than upgrade. It costs us $90 more to make the new version. We had to pass that price on because our margins are very low, but we passed $70 on. And in front of God, that's the honest truth. So this GX Pro is $70 more expensive, which I think is kind of okay considering that it's got all the other, abilities, like its extra precision, which is like a sniper rifle with an even better magnifier on, telescope on it, so it can get.
Scope.
Yeah, scope. Yeah.
I'm into firearms, so I know
Are
exactly.
you?
Yes. I have several paramilitary rifles.
Oh my goodness.
So it's just part of my life journey.
Yes. I used to belong to a shooting club, a pistol shooting club. It was using Crossman air pistols. And from there, I got a couple of, got a 177 and 22 air rifles as well, BSA twin spring. And but this is as a child only for target practice. Well, not quite only as target practice, but I've grown since then. And now I wouldn't take a life, but life is a journey.
Yeah, I've only done target practice I have astigmatism, so I have scopes on all the rifles. They're semi-automatics. They're FNFS series, FNFS 2000 and PS90. So they're interesting. They're not as heavy as other rifles because I'm only 5'5" and I weigh 145 pounds. So I'm a small person. So for me, I always select my firearms with a balance for weight. So weight distribution, because there's sort of like a spring back when you're firing them. It's a reverb, so the shoulder goes like this. To prevent that, I look for balance in my firearms, and I also look for precision and accuracy in the firing and the type of bullets. In Canada, we're very restricted in that we cannot have the same firearms as the rest of the world does. So it's modified. It's very heavily modified. I am licensed. I took safety courses. It takes a lot to get a license here to own firearms, because you cannot just go somewhere with a firearm. It has to be carried safely, specifically. It's transported, and it has to be kept in a safe. So I'm fine with honoring all of that, because I'm a pacifist. Weapons have to be locked up safely, and you need to know how to use it. I've never hunted, and I never will. But for me, I'm now a collector. I am about the vintage of it. The ones that I have, the rifles are very exotic. You can't just buy them anywhere or order them. It has to be special ordered these days.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but I'm also a healer. So it's a bit of it's a strange combination of doing energy healing, psychic work, and being a collector of firearms, responsible collector. I don't even go to the shooting range anymore, because honestly, transporting is a lot harder than it used to be. So it's like, I'd rather just them be locked up in a safe space and just collector as a collector primarily. But it's wonderful, and it teaches you self-discipline and responsibility, I think.
It does. Human nature is multifaceted, isn't it? So you've got your healing, you've got your shooting, and you've got the other things that you do. It's fantastic. That's what makes us human, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And to get back to the Rife Therapy, What is the energy and scalar resonance healing, the biofeedback, and the PEM therapy? How does that all work?
Well, we'll start from the biofeedback side, because that's really where it all starts. Treatments have no effect unless you use the precise frequency. Now, you can use the Spooky2, the world's largest database, and select what pathogens that you have. But Ileana, what if you are sick and you don't know why you're sick? You've been to the doctors and they say, oh, it's so-and-so, but they don't tell you what strain it is. Quite usually, they don't tell you what the name of the bug is. They just tell you a generic term for the condition, because that's what they've been taught during their medical school. So to discover the right frequencies, you've got to do a biofeedback. And biofeedback requires a frequency sweep through your body and something listening to your body somehow to see what the response is. Now, there's two types of biofeedback that Spooky2 has. There's one where Spooky2 monitors your pulse. When your body is stressed, your pulse rate will give it a little blip, a little jump, and the rate will increase for a period of time. Now, Spooky2 can detect that. So during the frequency sweep, it monitors your pulse. Every time there's a bit of an increase, yes, it marks it with a big red tick. And then it looks at all the other frequencies. And at the end of the sweep, Spooky2 looks at the largest peaks, where your heart really goes, whoa, wow, that was it, that was it. And so those frequencies are logged and created into a program. There's another way of detecting the frequencies in your body, Ileana, and that is directly. Instead of doing it indirectly, like your body's response, it can look at the biological response, which is the electrical response. This is where our Generator X comes in. Generator X applies a frequency sweep through your body, but it looks at the pattern of the signal that's passing through your body. When a cell is in resonance, it will change that pattern. If you've got bugs of any sort, viruses, bacteria, parasites, it'll detect the resonant frequency of those cells within the bugs. I'll call it bugs. We'll call it pathogens technically, but we'll call them bugs. And then it'll just keep a log of those spikes, and the largest ones again will be entered into a program, and they're the ones that you use. Now that's fantastic because each of us are different. Now I'm not into firearms and you are. So you and I are very different, and we're very different in many other ways as well. Apart from we both chose to wear white today. So everyone's different. And the bugs, let's say you get a cold, and even if I'm living in the same household and I get a cold, it doesn't mean to say that it's the same cold bug that's in either of us, okay? More than likely it's different. And they mutate so quickly that it's very likely that even if it is the same bug type, it's a different mutation. Biofeedback can tell you the exact frequency. Okay, so now we've got the exact frequency that you want to use. What do you do with it? Well, there's different ways that you can apply these frequencies to your body. The most common one, I guess, is the contact mode. It's common because it's cheap. We have hand cylinders or we have TENS pads, and you just use the same generator that did the sweep to then perform the treatment. So you just sit down for a little while and let the magic happen. Some people do it, just while they're sleeping. It is a little bit of a nuisance factor having to sit down. The other way that people treat is more convenient, which is the remote method, the spooky action at a distance, where you can use our Spooky2 remotes and apply treatments to your DNA, and then you can just go about your everyday day-to-day activities. Pardon me. And not even know that you're being treated. And at the end of the day, you're thinking, wow, I'm great. I've got the energy. Yeah. And that is not just by chance. It's because you're treating yourself with the very precise frequencies that you found with the biofeedback. So that's contact remote. We've also got a very powerful way of applying frequencies, Ileana, and that is plasma. That is like a sledgehammer. It's like the largest caliber rifle you've got, where it can really apply these frequencies in a very powerful way. I haven't got one to show you, but it's a glass ball which glows and makes a noise sometimes. And you place it very as close to your body as possible. And the plasma fields enter your body and make the cells resonate. And that's a very powerful device. We've got other ways as well. Doesn't stop there. We use photon energy in the way of cold plasma. Gosh, we've got a really amazing cold plasma wrist device, which you just wear during the course of a day, and your blood gets purified by increasing the energy that's within our cells. The blood cells stop clumping together, but they become more individual and rounded as well, nice and plump. We've got our own laboratory here. We've just seen the effects after just half an hour of this treatment. The difference it makes in our blood. It's incredible. The cells at the start might be sharp, might have sharp edges, be grouped together in clumps. So the surface area is not so great. So your breathing has to be a little bit faster. So it's got the oxygen being absorbed by the hemoglobin, blah, blah, blah. Well, bottom line is after half an hour's treatment, we pricked our fingers again, put the sample of blood onto a special microscope. And the blood cells were like obese cells, nice and rounded and all separated, totally different. You think, gosh, this is from the same person, right? Mm-hmm. And this is just half an hour. And you can wear it all day if you like, because it just runs on battery. Mm-hmm. So there's that. We use a really amazing device, our scalar device. That's really a good. In fact, there's a story behind that one. I don't know whether we have the time. Oh, we do. We're only like half an hour. And that device during development, we are working on a patent that was taken out in the early 1900s by Nikola Tesla, a Serbian scientist who was way beyond his time. But we use his patent and refined it so it could be used for health use. And we created our Spooky2 scalar device. Now, during development, we have lots of prototypes, as one does. And one of our friends contacted us and said that she had a tumorous lump in her breast. Now, she had attended a conference, which we had attended earlier. We didn't actually know it at the time, but we were actually guest speakers during the conference, but we weren't told this, so it's quite funny. But we happened to bring our scalar, we brought our scalar device with us. And so we, after the conference, we showed the conference, the people who started the conference, we showed them, because it's still secret, it's still under wraps, and they knew this woman that had this breast cancer. So she came to us and said, "Look, I've got this lump. Can I buy this from you?" And we said, "It's our only prototype device. We didn't have any others." So we said, "No, well, yeah, you can have it, but we won't sell it. We'll give it to you." So she took it, and then she started, she's a friend, So she took it and started treating herself. And then our tour to America started. We visited 4 states. We didn't go all the way up. We should have gone to British Columbia, shouldn't we? But we didn't. And, probably a bit cold then. No, it was summer. Would have been nice. But we went there. We were talking about the scalar device. We brought one with us, a finished scalar. And we got a text from this woman saying, lump, gone. And she had a series of 4 different reports from the doctors. The lump was large, smaller, 0. And so she was just absolutely amazed. When we came back from America, we contacted her. She just sent it through by text message on the phone. It was half an hour before one of the conferences in America that we got this message. So tears of joy were still streaming down our eyes as we were holding the conference. We asked her, how did you use it? Because there's different ways of using it. You can even connect up a generator and apply frequencies to it. She said she turned it on, she put it either side of the bed, and she slept in the plasma field. And we said, and what else? What do you mean, what else? That's what I did. And so it was purely being in a healing plasma field, scalar field, that made her body restore itself. So we've got our Spooky2 scalar device, which is very easy to use. Other ways of using it, you can put substances on the receiver coil. It can be medication, it can be essential oils, it could be a lot of things. And the information from that substance passes through the field, through every single cell in your body. Now the scalar field is not a field, I call it a field rather than a frequency because it's static. It's not like a frequency going up and down like this. It's like a soap bubble between the 2 units. In fact, it's very much like a soap bubble thinking about it now, because once you've established the field, you can go enormous distances, just like a soap bubble. Once you've got a bubble there, you can stretch it out. Well, it's very much like that. We have a scalar unit at home in our apartment. We have it either corner of the apartment. It must be something like 40 feet away. And it goes through concrete walls and whatever. And when you're in the field, funny things happen. You have the first night when I was in the scalar field, I had a technicolor dream. For the first time in my life, I dream in black and white. I don't really normally think about colors, but this one is so absolutely vivid. It was so real. It just really amazed me. So I knew it was something very, very magical in this device. People use Spooky2 scalar to meditate to the next level. They find that when they are doing meditation, they go deeper. They go into the sweet spot, as one does. And I meditate not quite as often as I should, but I try and do the 20 minutes at least a day. And it does make a huge difference. So people that have a club for meditation, because Ileana, how it's so lovely to meditate in a group, they buy one of our scalar units and have it on either side of the room, so everyone can benefit from the field whilst they're meditating. And very recently, we've brought out our scalar harmony. Up until that time, to put frequencies through the scalar field, you had to use a Rife generator, like a Spooky2 GX or our XM generator. But with harmony, you can put audio. Now, there's a tremendous amount of healing energy in audio. I've seen videos in your channel, so I know that your viewers and yourself know that conversation isn't just words, tones, frequencies. It's the information is us,
Mm-hmm.
and our language is tuned to our DNA. So with this scalar harmony, you can put audio through the scalar field. So it can be sacred sutras, healing sutras, mantras. It could be rock music. It could be anything. What works for the person. Again, we're all different, so, you know. And with our scalar harmony, it comes with a memory card that holds an enormous amount of audio. We decided to preload them with what we consider to be some of the greatest hits, if you like, for Scalar. So to make it easy, you want to have things that work out of the box. So we have we have amazing mantras. We've even got the Lao funds for lessons in there, because that information, which is so solid gold, goes through you. We've got the very best healing audio on our scalar harmony. And if you want more, we've got a website, frequencyheals.com, which you can download audio and then transfer it onto the scalar harmony. The scalar harmony just plugs into this this device that sits on top of the scalar device, and then you're away. It's really an amazing device. So okay, there was a big diversion, wasn't it? Scalar, audio, what have I missed out on?
Pretty much everything. You've talked about the PEMF, how it applies either holding the coils or the sticky pads, right? Onto the skin, and then it reads your frequencies, and it gives you a whole list, and you can kind of go over it. I've tried a Spooky2 Generator X. So
oh, fantastic.
I did a healing trade with a friend, and we looked at my frequencies and we did some healing. So it was interesting. I saw the generator, like the most recent one. So I was impressed because it gave my natural frequencies. So it gave like 4 different frequencies that my body resonates well with.
Yes.
And another question that I had, so if one frequency doesn't work and kind of feel something off, can you try many other frequencies to find the right one for you?
Absolutely. With these biofeedbacks, you can change the number of frequencies that are returned. So you can increase it. Some people like to have a large number of frequencies for whatever reason. Maybe they're just very hardworking people. So you can increase the number of, the maximum number of hits, we call it, to any number really, like 100 if you want. And at the end of a biofeedback session, you can do a reverse lookup, because numbers do mean something. Mm-hmm. And what the reverse lookup does, it finds matches of that number within the Spooky2 database. And it's quite remarkable. What people usually often find, I should say, is their hits match entries in our molecular weight database and its essential oils. And if they find that there's a hit for, I don't know, frankincense, for example, then they apply frankincense, then it heals. So it's like their body's telling them what they need to heal.
Fantastic. Have you ever had anybody with side effects from one sort of frequency treatment and you've tried something else that works on a different level for them? Anything like that? Like if somebody has some side effects, can they try another frequency?
It's a very good question for 2 reasons, not just one. The first one is you use the word side effect because we're all accustomed to drugs. Now, when you apply healing modalities, it's not side effects, it's other things. It's unpeeling the onion and discovering the next layer underneath. Now, you can, for example, find a frequency hit and apply it, but in doing so, in applying those frequencies, some poisons are released. If it's a macroorganism like a parasite, and you make the parasite go open up its organs and spills its guts inside you, your body's now got a problem. It's got to remove those toxins. Before, those toxins were inside the parasite because parasites love mercury and the heavy metals and other things. Well, that's all suddenly been released. And your body's already ill because it's had to fight that parasite until now. People quite often refer to this as a Herx effect. What we recommend is to do things in a certain order to prevent things becoming too unbearable. Most people, when they are ill and they apply frequencies, they will feel pretty nasty for a little while after that. That's actually good. But what do you do about it? It's not a side effect, it is an effect. It is what's going to happen. And so what we have is what's called a terrain protocol. It's part of the software. It's a preset. You select it, choose the generator, and then run it. So it's pretty simple. It goes through very, very carefully the different steps. First of all, it starts off with getting rid of the heavy metals in your body. It does that by helping your waste removal organs work more efficiently. And we help to chelate the mercury so it becomes in chemical form, so it can, in physical form, so it can be removed instead of just ionic form. So it goes from the mercury, then it starts in the very small organisms, because even parasites have got bugs inside them. Bugs are everywhere. So we don't want those suddenly to be exposed to your body. So you get the small, in a way, we sort of treat the parasite first. Get the small viruses and bacteria, then you go to the larger, and only at the very end do we hit the parasites, once they don't have any toxins to remove inside them, like heavy metals or viruses or bacteria inside them. If you do the 11-day terrain protocol, you will be a better person as a result from that. After the terrain protocol, then you can go to the more specific programs, which are more tailored for your individual needs. It could be anything from an infection from some sort of pathogen to a hereditary type condition, or just a physical weakness that you have, joint issues if you have joint pain, little anything, whatever you want. There will be a program in the Spooky2 database for your needs. Mm-hmm. So that's the steps that I would recommend to prevent these side effects from taking place.
Yeah. And what have you noticed are the most used frequencies in the Spooky2? Because the database is huge, but what's the most treated?
There's quite a few very good frequencies. Funnily enough, one of the most common ones is 10,000, and you think, well, that's kind of convenient, isn't it? Because it's an easy number to remember and it's got no decimal places. But 10,000 is probably the most common frequencies as well. There's another frequency, 880 hertz, and there's many more. In fact, at one time I went through the Spooky2 database and made a list of how often each frequency occurred. And 880, I think, was the number one frequency, the most common one. But you've got to remember, Ileana, that most of the frequencies that Rife manufacturers have in their databases, they're integers, there's no decimal places, which means they're not going to be precise. 880 hertz is a number that is very popular, but maybe the exact frequency is 880.1 or 0.18327. Mm-hmm. And only Spooky2 with the biofeedback can detect the precise frequency. And then once exact, then of course the results are so much better. In fact, since we've grown the database with the DNA frequencies, there's fewer frequencies which are repeating because the resolution is so much more fine. There are common frequencies in the coronavirus, the COVID-19, but of course this is changing all the time. So what might be the most common frequency one week might be different from another week. And I wouldn't want to be a person that spent $15 on a frequency set for COVID-19, only to find out that it's become obsolete the week after the new strain that's come out. And there's lots of strains, mark my words, there are strains out there that have not been identified yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a complex
Very
issue,
complex.
and
Yeah.
it's not human-made issue. So
no, so it's not going to the frequency, which is going to be the precise frequency. Again, back to this 880 hertz, it's also a very low number. Now, it's a low number, and it's got no decimal places for two reasons. First of all, it was discovered maybe 10, 15 years ago. So it was at a time when Rife generators couldn't go very fast. And so it was a very low frequency, it's under 1000 hertz. The other reason is the generators at that time had no decimal places. And so it had to be either 779 or 881 or something. It couldn't be a point anything. But Spooky2, because we have so many decimal places and such high precision, if we do a scan around the 880 hertz, we might discover that it's 879.98327 for real accurate precision. But it doesn't sound as good as 880, does it? But it's always better to get, it's like when you're looking through your scope, the difference between a scope that's a little bit frosted, a little bit, in a cold morning when there's a bit of condensation on the lens and you can't see so clearly, or a scope that's got clear lenses and you can see the hair and the target.
Yeah, exactly. And this is a bit of a different question, but I think clothing also carries a frequency. I wear things 100% cotton because anything that's like in spandex a little bit. How about you? Like well, I'm very sensitive to fabric.
Yeah, a little bit too much detail there.
How about you? Like
absolutely. Living things. I'm a fan of linen. I love that feel, and the cotton. Absolutely, there's no. You never get static shocks or anything from it,
exactly.
And it's from life. I don't believe that, smart as humans are, we're also kind of dumb, and we kind of discover our dumb things 50 years down the track. And I was sure as anything don't want to be part of this experiment where, 50 years from now, they discover that some sort, nylons are bad for your body or bad for the environment. Our skin is an organ, and we breathe through our skin, and we absorb through our skin. So what you wear is what you are. Oh, absolutely. So I won't wear things that are nylon and things.
Yeah, chief one of them is polyester. It's banned from my wardrobe because it's very synthetic like as well. Sometimes polyester, if it's like small mixed with cotton and stuff and spandex, it could be good, but for the most part I ban polyester from the wardrobe. And I've noticed cotton and linen are hard to get in clothing.
Oh, terribly hard. You've got to really look further, and it's getting harder as each year goes by. Cotton, probably not so much, but linen, gosh. But doesn't linen have such a beautiful, this is linen. It's got such a beautiful, I love the coarse feel, the roughness, and it absorbs well, and it just feels right. It's good to wear clothes that are part of you because they are part of you. There's clothing which I would never part with, and they might have holes in places, but they're not visible holes, and I've got a sewing machine which I use.
There you go. I got a sense from you that you're a very natural person. I'm also psychic, so that's why I was asking about clothing, because I got a sense that you're very particular about your clothing and about
not just
the material.
Clothing. Truth be known, it's not just clothing. I mean, everything from toothpaste to everything that I use. Two questions. Is it good for me? And is it good for the environment? Does it cause suffering to anything, anyone, anytime? And if it's known, if it's yes, and then if it's got no negatives, then it's for me. So I'm a fan of if there's any if I cut myself, the very first thing I put on myself is honey. I've real big diversion. When I'm a fan of watermelons, and I was doing something stupid and cutting in my hand, I sliced my thumb really, really bad to the bone there, and it was pretty bad. So I was driven to the hospital, and they stitched it up before the anaesthetic had much of an effect, and that was really painful. And when I got back, the very first thing I did was coat it with honey. It wasn't fancy Manuka, 80 plus honey, which people recommend. Yeah, that's good if you've got it in your cupboard, but just any honey. And the honey I had was just a liquid honey, just poured it on, made it a red mess. I put a bandage over the mess to make it look not so bad. And as I said, it was a cut to the bone. After 3 days, I pulled out the stitches myself. Didn't go back to the hospital. I don't like hospitals. And there's zero scar, not a little bit, zero scar. And no, it didn't happen. The honey made it heal so quickly. Now honey is living, it's natural. No microbes can survive in honey. It's the only thing that doesn't need any sort of preservative.
Exactly, because it coagulated the blood cells pretty well, and the squamous cells just grew nicely and no scar.
That's right. It was just it's just my immediate go-to. So if I cut myself in any way, at one part of my professional career, I was the project engineer of bottling plant. Bottling as in glass, and I cut myself bad quite a few times. And this is when I discovered the value of honey. Before then, I'd just put a bandage or a bit of iodine in a bandage or something like this, and then it would leave a bit of a mark there. But after honey, it's never failed to amaze me. And it's from nature, So nature really is amazing. So that toothpaste, I use a toothpaste based on honey, absolutely no aluminium for the whiteness or the fluoride. My members of my family, they've lost their thyroid because they keep their teeth clean with this sparkling white toothpaste with the fluoride, the 0.2025%, whatever it is. It replaced the iodine that was in their diet, and the iodine level was low because they're on low salt diet because they try to look after their blood pressure. It's just stupid, crazy things. So they had their thyroids removed.
Oh, wow.
And each year, now that's hereditary, they had that hereditary weakness, and so they're predisposed to this. And so therefore I have the same gene. So each year I go to I go for an absolute thorough checkup, and I specifically ask for the thyroid hormone test. There's 4 different thyroid hormones that they test for, and each time to say, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong. So, I'm exactly in the sweet spot for all of them, which I think is due to the fact that I don't use fluoridated toothpaste. I don't drink water that's got fluoride in it. I eat lots of seaweed. I love seaweed. I drink 4 drops of iodine each morning. It gives energy as well. You don't drink it at night time, otherwise you can't sleep too well because the energy, you just want to go, go, go. So I do that, just routines, but all of the things I do are natural things. So it's totally unrelated to spooky, but this is the mindset of the person that's steering spooky. And what I recommend and promote to other people: don't turn to drugs for healing, turn to nature.
Exactly.
And also do the learning curve. Don't be lazy and go to a trained medical professional to get answers from a person that truly doesn't really care for you once you left the door, but they care about what's in their pocket and they want to see you again next week because of you know what. They don't keep awake at night while you're in pain, or suffering through some reason. They're not the ones that are truly worried for you or your children or whoever. You are. So you've got to become your own doctor, which is part of having a Spooky2 kit in your emergency drawer. You, through watching channels like Ileana's channels and others that teach you deeper aspects of health, then you can truly heal. Now, you are not the person I need to tell Ileana about healing, because healing can be also through, there's two main causes of sickness, and it isn't through sneezing, not wearing masks. One is through karma. Some people think to themselves, or why me? Why am I given this bad deck of cards? It's not the first deck of cards you've been dealt, and on a previous deck of cards you didn't play the cards right. You didn't live your life properly, and now you're you're having to pay for that in the karmic balance. The other thing is attitude, which is easier to understand for people that are brought up in Christian terms, where some people, they own their sickness. You know what I mean? That's sort of like they use it for sympathy. It's a cold hard truth where they sort of feed off sympathy of other people. I'm sick. No, but I'm okay. Like this sort of thing. And they own it. It becomes part of them. And if something's a part of you, why would you want to get rid of it? But the people that I see that overcome their illnesses time and time again are people that are the fighters. They don't own it. It's not a part of them. It is not mine. They do their healing, ho'oponopono. They do their disowning of their disease. Mm-hmm. They do their meditation and they go inside. I'm also have similar abilities to you where I see things, but I don't tell people of this. But I can see when people are sick, and I can see where it is. I can see what's often causing it. And so it's not just me having read it somewhere. But if you can, through meditation, look inside. If you can even if you can just know where the disease is and put your hand there and think to yourself, I want it gone, I want it gone, I want it gone. Even that, or words like that will help. Even better would be to learn the ability to go inside and then look at what is causing it and then pushing it away. Hard to explain because there's no words that are invented. When you go into a room and you see things. I went to a Buddhist mountain one time, a sacred mountain. I'm Buddhist and I was born Presbyterian, so it's a natural curve. In a Buddhist mountain, actually, it's I'm not sure if it's a Buddhist or Taoist. To me, it's a bit of a blur because I'm looking at it from the Chinese perspective, and the Taoism was first, and then Buddhism came here from India, and there was a bit of a mix, and a lot of temples had a bit of both. We went to a lake, almost near the top. We went there by rope car thing, and this lake was simmering, and light beams were going down like this from the heavens, down like this. And I turned to my wife and I said, do you see that? Look. See what? She could see a lake. What I could see was energy, this raw, pulsating, streaming energy cascading down into this lake, and the lake sparkling upwards. It was like, it's totally, what I'm describing doesn't give it justice, but that is what I saw. And the temple, the mountain had special, it was a very special mountain. To me, the whole mountain was a healing mountain. If you were very sick, you'd want to go there, sit down, become part of the mountain even just for a little while, and pray for forgiveness, because disease is quite often due to the karma, as I said before. So you pray for forgiveness. Say the Ho'oponopono, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And other things as well. That mountain was just absolutely incredible. And to me, it was just so incredibly obvious. I've been to times when, during tomb sweeping, where it's a sacred time where people go to their ancestors. They call it tomb sweeping because it's cleaning the tomb, praying to them, offering gifts to them. Once they burn the gifts, it goes to the afterlife. That's the tradition here. I've been to a very large one where I saw the spirits walking from the flames. And one in particular, I know it wasn't a purely human one because it was like 2 or 3 times the size of a human. It walked towards me and past me just to my right. And I was quite fast, maybe about 100 feet away. And it walked right past me. And I could have touched him as he walked past. He was a deity. He wasn't a human. He would have been a Buddhist or a Bodhisattva. I see things like this. I could see spirits in our house. And the spirits were there because we bought something from Thailand secondhand. It was it was a statue on wood, and it was quite large, quite nice looking. It was bought off the internet. It was delivered, and we put it into this room. I could see that there was a spirit in that. It was a living spirit inside that ornament. So he gave that ornament to a temple for blessing so the spirit could move on. So life is not just physical, and healing is not just physical. So when we talk about Spooky2 and devices and generators and things, it's on the spiritual side. If you want to go, on the physical side, if you want to go to the spiritual side, I'd say our Spooky2 scalar is the closest that we've come to helping people raise themselves to the next level so they can repel this negative force that's inside them.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for joining me and talking to me about spooky and some other ways of healing. Is beautiful with the Rife Therapy, but it's also about going within, looking within yourself, doing the work, and no shortcuts.
Absolutely. It's better for the people to learn about their illness. It's time well spent. It's quite often difficult, especially if you've got brain fog and you just don't want to. But as you're using the Spooky2 equipment, you progressively get better, and then you can look further and further until you're back to you're feeling like you're a spring chicken again. There is no excuse to continually being sick. We may suddenly find ourselves, we've been bitten by a tick or whatever, we've got a disease. We've got to get rid of it. And there may be easy solutions, or it might be a long-term thing. Spooky2 provides equipment that can certainly help in a large way in eliminating your illness. There's even programs, because we're so proactive, we want to provide every solution for every conceivable use for health that we can. And we've even got presets for longevity. That means halting your aging, making it so that take a photograph of yourself now. This is how you're going to look in 20 years' time through running these programs. Now, these programs were developed from personal experience. I take supplements. Some of these supplements were expensive, so I decided to convert them to the frequencies using the molecular weight database. And so as we're speaking now, Ileana, I am treating myself for aging. And so I am going to look like this in 20 years' time. I'm not going to tell you how old I am now because that's privileged information. But even though aging is not a disease as such, it's a condition, and we can treat conditions as well. So it's kind of cool to wake up in the morning, not have aches and pains, still go for runs and do fun stuff, and not consider, oh, hang on a moment, oh, I've got a bit of a sore neck here, or my back's feel that just doesn't really happen now because you're treating yourself against aging. If people want to find the Spooky2 products, is it okay if I give them a website or two?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Our main site is Spooky2, it's number 2.com. So Spooky2.com. From there, you can go to the link, click on links to go to our sales website, which is spooky2-more.com. You can go to our spooky2reviews.com because we got so many people emailing us and saying, wow, hey, thanks. All of a sudden this has disappeared. My cancer's gone, my Lyme's gone. And they told us what they did. And so we decided to put all these things together and make a website. So we did that in spooky2reviews.com. There's spooky2support.com, which is if you've got questions, you can type questions there. We've got a massive, absolutely massive, fantastic Facebook group, which is Spooky2 Rife for Life. This is number 4. We've got a Spooky2 forum. We've got a lot of websites because you can't ever have too much information, right? And everyone's got questions. And so if you can think of a question that's been already asked by someone at some time, because we've been going for a long time now, 9 years. We've just celebrated our 9th birthday a few days ago. So go to our spooky2.com website and branch out from there and wave as you go by.
Thank you so much. You're so inspirational. I've just been learning a lot about Rife Therapy for almost 5 years now. And the only way to really get to experience it is to work with it hands-on.
Yeah. I think a lot of people think, oh, this is rubbish. They look on the internet, Rife, and the first thing they get is debunkers, people saying, oh, it's rubbish, it doesn't work. Well, it started from 6 cancer patients, 7, sorry. All of them were going to die by these medical establishments, and through Rife treatments, they all lived. They all had the cancer removed. So Rife isn't poo-poo. It's ridiculed by people that don't want their pockets to become more empty. They're the people I was talking about at the beginning, where they're focused on money, not on people, not on humanity. They're the people that say, Rife doesn't work, there's no proof, this. We've got our website of real people with real feedback. True or false, it's there, and we know from our experience, from our friends and even ourselves, just how effective it is. Once you have the right frequencies, wow, it's amazing. If you get the absolute precise frequency, you can resolve a days-long flu. You've had a flu for a few days. You can kick it in the head in an hour. 1 hour, it's gone. Not this continuing snivels and sore throat or anything. It's gone completely in 1 hour if you get the precise frequency. So yeah, once you've experienced it once, you don't forget it. So yes, I do recommend your viewers, your audience, to do a bit of research, go to our website and hear the real truth behind Rife, not this tainted truth. Find the real truth. The sheer fact that you're watching this video now is the universe telling you. It's trying to nudge you in our direction.
Exactly. I believe everything is synchronicity and everything is in its own divine timing. So,
absolutely.
I wanted to speak with you for about a month now, and I think I've manifested
Yeah,
this opportunity because
yeah.
who better to speak to than the person who created the healing modality itself, who
Okay, well,
created
that's,
the device. It's like firsthand experience is very important. So I wanted to see who the person was behind the interesting healing technology. And I said to the universe, I want to talk to the person. Please send them my way. A month later, here we are.
well, I hope I haven't disappointed you too much.
Oh no, you're very interesting. I did an energy, I scan everybody before they come on to interview. And when I scanned you, the first thing I got was, he's very particular about his clothing. He has organic clothing, a lot of it. So that's the first thing that I saw, a lot of organic clothing. And I said, yes, this is interesting. I must ask him about that. So that was kind of a extra question after, everything else we covered, because you're so into organics. This is what I just reading you psychically, I noticed this. So it's like, I need to ask him about his care treatments, like his organic care treatments.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
You're talking about synchronicity. For all the nasty things, the bad things that have happened since the pandemic, it's had one good thing. It's made people more aware. And I see there's more and more people coming to us and becoming self-empowered. It's really remarkable. It's been a bit of a battle because we've had other people come against us who don't want to come to us, who want us gone and try and do things to make us gone. But once you become a certain size, you become unstoppable. The reason I'm telling you this is that Spooky2 isn't just me. In fact, now it's got very little to do with me. Spooky2 are other people. When people buy a product, I've already mentioned how they automatically, involuntarily become donors and they get blessings in their lives. The Ho'oponopono blessing is inside their products that they buy. We write it in the device, because healing is not just physical. But because Spooky2 is so large, it's snowballing. More and more people are discovering, and it's like the whole world is becoming synchronized to natural healing. Now, I see this happening. It's really snowballing. So now we can't be stopped now, which is kind of cool. Maybe in the beginning when there's just one person, but now we're thousands. Our Facebook is thousands and thousands of people, and in our forum, yeah, we're really going well. We're not boasting like as in we're powerful. We're not. It's the people. It's the people that are the goodness and spooky, and that quite often ideas, our devices are quite often refined by our users, by our we've got scientists out there and other researchers who help in the development. And so it's really amazing what we've achieved through the collective energies of people that freely give their time for the goodness of humanity.
And you guys you have a good support system. When somebody emails and asks questions, there's always a response back with positive, useful information. Yeah. So because I had sent an email and I got a response, I was just curious about the healing properties, the frequencies. I was asking a lot of questions, and I got every question that I had was answered about the Rife Therapy technology. And I'm like, oh, okay, send another manifestation. Let's interview the man where it first started with. So a month later, here we are. So it's like, if you manifest positive things, you create positive things energetically and physically.
Yes. I believe so. If my focus was business, if I was a business person, we would not have achieved what we have achieved, and the goodness wouldn't be flowing. I think because we started, Spooky2 started very, very small. We still think for the people, and we always will. We never will change. Always focus on the people that we can help. And if we can help them, fantastic. That's where the blessings come from. You know, we've, in our lives, in my life, I've received miracles. I believe that's because I've earned them through what I've done. I like to think that, but I know. Because some of the things are just impossible. And so I do tell people, pass love forwards. Don't expect things first and then pass them out. Pass love forwards. If you can help people in any possible way, even if you don't know them, even if you don't like them, you can continue not liking them, but help them. And you'll see a change in your life, yeah, for sure.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much, John. I appreciate you coming on to the show.
Thank you for inviting me. It's been a wonderful experience for me. Thank you.
Me as well. Thank you so much, and namaste.
Namaskar.
Beautiful. Bye.
Bye-bye.